Some technologies are just outdated and super frustrating to use, so we upgrade them. But online checkout is still a headache with forgotten passwords and long forms, so we fixed it.
Hi, I'm Dom. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Fast. I'm so excited to be with you here today and partner with BigCOmmerce to bring the fastest headless checkout experience to the BigCOmmerce community. We see an average 60% increase to cart completion rates for BigCOmmerce merchants using Fast headless checkout. Do you want to go fast this holiday season and increase completion rates? Get 1 month free Fast across your site. Scan the QR code, fill in the form, let's go fast.
And welcome to Make It Big 2021. Thanks for being here with us today at our 4th annual Make It Big conference, where we discuss all things e-commerce. I'm Elizabeth Azide, the manager of international marketing here at BigCOmmerce, and I'm so excited to be here with our friends in Europe, Marcus Murphy and Oli Billson.
Oh, thanks for having us.
All right, let's kick things off and have you guys introduce yourself and tell us about your roles. I'll pass it over to you, Marcus, to start.
Yeah, I've over a decade, I've spent a lot of time around some of the best marketers on the planet. I think I've inadvertently become one of them, hopefully, maybe the top, somewhere outside the 25. I'm looking at Oli's face for recognition. But anyway, I've spent that time, but I've also spent a lot of time honing in on content marketing. That's been a big one for me, not only identifying the market, but really dialing in a message that moves people and gets them to take action. And so kind of that's been my stake to claim there. But on the board at LinkedIn now for about 4 years, specifically working on the marketing side of the business and working with those folks on how do we take content top of funnel all the way through? How do you take that conversation all the way through within consumers? So yeah, just excited for this conversation. It seems to be very timely.
Oli, how about you?
Hey, it's Oli Billson here, CEO and founder of NextlevelBusiness.com. We help people take their existing knowledge, know-how, systems and expertise and be able to effectively sell their advice online.
So in today's session, we are diving into all there is to know about user experience and digital innovation in 2021. So Oli, just kind of continuing from where you just shared, let's start with you. What would you say are some of the emerging digital trends we've seen this year so far?
I think this year particularly, people are wanting to crave more human interaction and attention than ever before for obvious reasons. And that's no different in the digital landscape as it relates to user experience. So really what that means for us as marketers and business owners is that we should be continuing to do what we know works and also has worked in the past, but also consider where we can inject a personal human touch into the user journey that really just allow us to create unique interactions with our brands.
Well said. Marcus, any additional thoughts there?
It's funny, we're going to be talking about digital innovation for this entire conversation. But one of the things that I don't want people to overlook, and this might seem so silly and so simple, but some of the things that have worked that have been very old, like circa 2015 type technology, like QR codes, for example. I always laugh really hard because whenever I tell people the power of QR codes, we got to see it in the pandemic. We saw going to a restaurant and ordering a drink, like you had to take out your phone and physically take a picture of a little box. And that little box obviously can be directed at anything. What I like about that and what I see what Oli's talking about is like trying to take these old things, create a more like kind of hand-to-hand combat interaction with them. Like, for example, whenever I speak, like when I do these types of online learning or when I'm teaching or when I'm on a website, I tend to also I like to put a QR code in to make sure that people can connect with me immediately. Now that's a merging of saying, hey, how have you stayed so like, how do you use technology to like close the gap for immediacy of a human connection? And so what I would do is literally, if I was teaching a course or if I was in an interview, it's almost as easy as having like a QR code pop up behind you, or even, take a piece of paper and put it in front of your face and have people at home take a picture of it, because it works through this type of environment as well. And so the immediacy of being able to connect with people is what I hope people hear right now, is that sometimes it can, technology can be the chasm between connection of people. In fact, when we think we're bringing ourselves together, many times it's actually taking that human experience really far, far, far away, and it doesn't have a human touch. It's all tech touch. So what I'm trying to say is, how do you merge the worlds together? And so just as something as simple as a QR code can just bridge the gap or shorten that and expedite the connection of people. And I think that's what we're looking for a lot in these marketing trends.
I think that's so well said as far as bridging the gap and identifying how we leverage technology to serve that purpose. Just dovetailing from that, a really big topic of discussion over the last year has been around how trends relate to consumer behavior and how trends have impacted consumer behavior. Lifestyles around the world were obviously dramatically altered in the last 18 months. So kind of similar to the QR code example, Marcus, I'll pass it over to Oli. How do you think that new trends over the last year plus, or really anything that comes to mind, could impact the future of digital innovation? What's here to stay?
Yeah, so although I don't think there's necessarily an expectation from consumers for more personalization and human interaction, I think that it's clear forward-thinking brands are already leveraging ways to connect with their customers in ways that they haven't necessarily before. And really, we've seen a new wave of different software platforms that have enabled businesses and brands to do that more easily, from improving their customer service and care experience with training platforms, programs in SaaS like Trainual, through to creating more of a human touch with interactions and using video platforms like Bonjoro, for example.
Those are some great examples, Oli, and it really speaks to the fact that there's just so much to absorb in the digital space right now. Across these trends and strategies, messaging in particular is so important, especially when it comes to creating that incredible user experience that the brands you've described are doing so well. So over to Marcus, how should merchants be approaching their messaging strategy right now? What's resonating with consumers?
It's so funny. I feel like I want to say that the most empathetic brands are winning. And what I mean by that is that they truly understand their avatar. Like, you cannot craft a really effective message without fully understanding exactly who you're speaking to. And that message is measured by people being able to insert themselves in it. It's funny, I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old at home, 2 little girls, Florence and Pearl. And every night I read books to them, literally every night. And it's always like Peppa Pig. Now that we live in the UK, it's like, I want to be, and as I'm watching them read, the really practical example of a great story is when your kids, like, for example, they're not looking at Peppa Pig and George and Mommy and all these people. They don't look at those characters. They see themselves on that adventure, right? They are Peppa Pig. So when I'm looking at brands who are really effectively communicating a message to their audience and to their customer, they know their customer in and out. They know the avatar. They know exactly who they want. They know where those people eat, sleep, go purchase other things. They know everything about them, which allows them to then craft a message that allows those people to insert themselves into that message, because somebody's sitting there and they're raising their hand and they're saying, oh, that's me. That solves my problem. That is my theme. I care about those things. The other thing that's really interesting is you pay attention to companies who are also evolving and thinking about ways to connect that message to their audience. So in the pandemic, you've seen the rise of these virtual platforms like Hopin and CrowdComs and Goldcast. Those platforms are in place to provide what we're calling a hybrid experience for people. And what I mean by that is, like, when you look at LinkedIn investing $75 million into Hopin, it was because they understood that people now in these last 18 months or so have an expectation that they're getting not only their message and like buying into a brand, they're getting taught and educated and they're being equipped by those brands. And so you start to see that people are taking that very seriously by making major investments into platforms that are solely around educating their customer base. So yeah, in short, I think that people are starting to take a step back, essentially slowing down to speed up to find out exactly who they're talking to, crafting their message so that it's truly a story that someone can insert themselves into, and the people that are doing that empathetically, so they're not just way off base. The example is I see ads right now of people with no masks on and they're out and like doing stuff and whatever. And in many cases, if you look across your demographic and you look across your avatar, if they aren't actually in tune with that, then that's a huge miss from you in a brand perspective. So understanding what people are wanting to see that you truly want to touch and to actually adopt your that want you to purchase the product is a major step. But it does take slowing down sometimes to do that.
I think that formula makes a lot of sense as far as that linear approach, in that marketer's mindset in terms of really just what makes sense. And I really like what you were describing, Marcus, as far as the centricity of the user. It's really the user who sees themselves as the hero of their own story. So we should be marketing with that mindset. So related to that, the opportunities really aren't endless when it comes to creating that engaging user experience. And it can certainly be a challenge for merchants to keep up with all of the channels that are coming their way. So with that, how do you automate and humanize technology so you can better serve your customers?
It's funny, those two things don't seem like they go together, automation and humanizing. It's like automation has been synonymous with anti-human, in my opinion, because people have taken it so far. It's like funny to me because the actual humanity in it is what makes all of those things good or bad. It's like the phone isn't dead, the email isn't dead. It's usually the people that are connected to it that are. So when it comes down to automation, it's the same thing. Automation is an amazing way to tee up real conversations. I want to say that slower because I think a lot of the reasons why we have deviated so far off the path, because automation is a great thing. Automation is a wonderful thing. It's the way that it's used. Like when you try to automate the entire human experience, you are going to fail. And I'll